Hello everyone, I am Santosh KG, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, MIT, Mysore. In today's session, let us continue the balancing of reciprocating masses which comes under Module 2 in Dynamics of Machines. So, in today's session, we will learn the balancing of V engine. So, before learning the balancing of V engine, first let us see what is an V engine. So, a V engine will be consisting of two cylinders whose line of stroke it will be radial, and the line of strokes of these two cylinders it forms a letter V. Then the two cylinders connecting rod, they are connected to a same crank which is going to rotate in a same plane. So, since the crank is going to rotate in a same plane, in this case we don't get the unbalanced primary and secondary couple, and we are going to get only the unbalanced primary forces and secondary forces. So, in this V engine we have denoted the inclination of this crank OA with respect to the vertical by the term theta. Similarly, we have denoted the inclination of the line of stroke of the cylinder with respect to the vertical by the term alpha. So, theta represents the inclination of the crank with respect to the vertical axis, and alpha represents the inclination of the line of stroke with respect to the vertical axis. And then the length of the connecting rod OA, we are going to denote it by the term R. Similarly, the length of the connecting rod, it is denoted by L. So, by taking the ratio of L by R, we are denoting it by the term N. Similarly, the mass of the reciprocating masses in each cylinder, we are denoting it by small m, and the crank it will be rotated with a speed omega, which is taken as the angular velocity of the crank in radians per second. Similarly, the inclination of the crank with respect to the line of stroke of cylinder 1, it will be alpha plus theta. So, alpha plus theta, it represents the angle of this crank OA with respect to the line of stroke of cylinder 1. Similarly, alpha minus theta. So, alpha minus theta, it represents the inclination made by the crank OA with respect to the line of stroke of the cylinder 2. So, alpha plus theta, it represents the angle made by the crank OA with respect to the line of stroke of cylinder 1. Similarly, alpha minus theta, it represents angle made by the crank OA with respect to the line of stroke of the cylinder 2. And we know that the primary forces and the secondary unbalanced forces produced in case of the radial engine, it will be acting along the line of strokes. So, let us first try to find what will be the value of this primary unbalanced force and the secondary unbalanced force. So, first let us try to find the primary unbalanced force that is acting along the line of stroke of cylinder 1 and also the line of stroke of the cylinder 2. We know that the primary force which is unbalanced, we know that the unbalanced primary force, it can be calculated by making use of the equation m omega square r into cos of theta, where theta represents the inclination of the crank with respect to the line of stroke. So, here if I take the first cylinder, then the primary unbalanced force that is acting along the line of stroke of cylinder 1, we are going to denote it by Fp1, and it will be equals to m omega square r into cos of alpha plus theta. So here alpha plus theta, it represents the angle made by the crank with respect to the line of stroke of cylinder 1. Similarly, we can find the unbalanced primary force due to the cylinder 2. So it will be equals to again m omega square r into cos of alpha minus theta. So alpha minus theta, it represents the inclination made by the crank with respect to the line of stroke. So in these two equations, we are having m, which represents the mass of the reciprocating masses in each cylinder. Omega represents the angular speed with which the crank will be rotating, and r represents the radius of the crank or the length of the crank. And if you observe the direction in which FP1 is acting, it is inclined at an angle of alpha and it is acting towards the left of the vertical line. Similarly, if you consider FP2, it is acting at an angle alpha, but it is towards the right of the vertical line. Since these two forces, they are acting at different angles, they cannot be added directly. So to add them, what we are going to do is, first we are going to resolve the force Fp1 and Fp2 along the vertical axis and also along the horizontal axis. Once we resolve these two forces along the vertical axis as well as horizontal axis, then we can find the resultant of them by making use of the Pythagoras theorem. Now I am going to find the value of Fp1 along the vertical axis. Since the line of stroke Fp1 along the vertical axis, it is making an angle alpha, so the component of Fp1 along the vertical axis will be equal to Fp1 cos alpha. Similarly, this force Fp2, it is also inclined at an angle alpha with respect to the vertical line. So when I resolve this Fp2 along the vertical axis, I am going to get Fp2 cos alpha. So the Fp1 cos alpha and Fp2 cos alpha, they are going to act in upward vertical direction. So to get the value of the total primary force which is acting in the vertical direction, then I need to add these two terms, that is, to get the total primary force along the vertical axis, that is represented by Fpv, it will be equals to Fp1 cos alpha plus Fp2 cos alpha. And we know that the value of Fp1 is m omega square r into cos of alpha plus theta, and the value of Fp2 is m omega square r into cos of alpha minus theta. Now substitute the value of Fp1 and Fp2 in this equation. So when I substitute them in this equation, I will get this equation in this form, that is m omega square cos alpha plus theta into cos alpha plus, in place of Fp2 we have written m omega square r cos alpha minus theta into cos alpha. Now if you observe these two terms, in these two terms we are having m omega square r and cos alpha in common. So what I am going to do is, I will take these terms outside the bracket. So when I take these terms as common, so m omega square r into cos alpha, left with cos of alpha plus theta in first term, and I will be left with cos of alpha minus theta in the second term. So from the trigonometry, we can write cos of alpha plus theta plus cos of alpha minus theta as 2 into cos of alpha into cos theta. So after simplifying this, first I am going to write 2 here. So m omega square r I have written as it is. So cos alpha into cos alpha, it becomes cos square alpha into cos theta. So this is the total amount of the vertical component of the primary force that is acting in upward direction. Now let us see what is the total primary force that will be acting along the horizontal direction. In order to get the horizontal component of the primary unbalanced force, again we need to resolve Fp1 and Fp2 along the horizontal axis. So from the figure we can see that the Fp1, it is inclined at an angle of alpha with respect to the vertical. Similarly, this force Fp2, it is also inclined at an angle alpha with respect to vertical. So when I resolve Fp1 along the horizontal axis, I will get Fp1 sin alpha, and if I resolve Fp2 along the horizontal axis, I will get Fp2 into sin of alpha. And from this diagram you can observe that Fp1 into sin alpha, it is acting in horizontally left direction, and Fp2 sin alpha, it is acting in horizontal right direction. So these two forces, since they are acting in opposite directions, so when I add them, one side I should consider as positive. Suppose if I consider the left horizontal side force as positive, then the total horizontal force, it will be equals to plus Fp1 sin alpha minus Fp2 into sin of alpha. So plus sign indicates that the force is acting towards the left direction, and minus sign indicates that the force is acting towards the right direction. And we already know that the value of Fp1 is m omega square r into cos of alpha plus theta, and Fp2 will be equals to m omega square r into cos of alpha minus theta. So substitute the value of Fp1 and Fp2 in this equation. So in place of Fp1 we are writing m omega square r into cos of alpha plus theta, then we are having sin alpha, then minus sign, and in place of Fp2 we have written m omega square r into cos of alpha minus theta, then we are having sin alpha. Now if you observe these two terms, in these two terms we are having m omega square r, along with that sin alpha in common. So I am going to take these terms as common. So when I take m omega square r into sin alpha as common in both the terms, then in first term I will be left with cos of alpha plus theta, minus in second term I will be left with cos of alpha minus theta. From the trigonometric formulas, the cos of alpha plus theta minus cos of alpha minus theta, it can be written as 2 times sin alpha into sin theta. Now by simplifying this equation, first I am going to write 2 towards the left side, then I am going to write m omega square r, then sin alpha into sin alpha, it becomes sin square alpha into sin theta. So this equation represents the primary unbalanced force that is acting in horizontal direction. So we are having the primary vertical force that is acting in the vertically upward direction is m omega square r into cos square alpha into cos theta. Similarly, in the horizontal direction we are having the resultant force Fph, it is acting in horizontal left direction, and its magnitude will be equals to 2m omega square r into sin square alpha into sin theta. Now in order to get the value of r, I can make use of the right angle triangle and the Pythagoras theorem, where the horizontal component represents Fph and the vertical component represents Fpv, and the value of r, it represents the resultant primary force. So the resultant primary force by making use of the Pythagoras theorem, I can write it as square root of FPV square plus FPH square. So this is the formula that we can make use in order to find the unbalanced primary force in case of a V engine. Now let us try to find the secondary unbalanced forces in case of the V engine. We know that in order to calculate the secondary forces, we will be using the equation m omega square r into cos 2 theta divided by n, where theta represents the angle of inclination of the crank with respect to the line of stroke. But in this problem, the inclination of the crank with respect to the line of stroke of cylinder 1 is alpha plus theta, and inclination of the crank with respect to the line of stroke of the cylinder 2 is alpha minus theta. So to calculate the secondary force in case of cylinder 1, in place of theta we have written alpha plus theta, and in case of the cylinder 2, in place of theta we have written alpha minus theta. The unbalanced secondary force in cylinder 1, it will be equals to m omega square r into cos of 2 times alpha plus theta divided by n. Similarly, the unbalanced secondary force due to the cylinder 2, it can be calculated by using the equation Fs2 will be equals to m omega square r into cos of 2 times alpha minus theta divided by n. Here also the Fs1, it will be acting at an angle of alpha with respect to the vertical, and it is towards the left side of the vertical, and the Fs2, it is also acting at an angle of alpha, but it is acting towards the right side of the vertical. So since these two forces, they are acting in opposite or two different directions, so first in order to add them, I need to resolve these two forces along the vertical direction as well as the horizontal direction, and we can find the resultant. So first I will find what will be the component of these two forces along the vertical direction. So first, if I resolve the Fs1 along the vertical direction, I will get Fs1, that is Fs1 into cos of alpha. Similarly, when I resolve Fs2 along the vertical direction, I will get Fs2 into cos alpha. So the total resultant secondary force along the vertical direction will be equals to Fs1 cos alpha plus Fs2 cos alpha. So in place of Fs1, I can write m omega square r divided by n into cos of 2 times alpha plus theta, and we are having in addition cos alpha, plus in place of Fs2 we are writing m omega square r cos of 2 times alpha minus theta divided by n into cos of alpha. So if you observe these two terms, we are having m omega square r by n into cos alpha as common in these two terms. So I am going to take those outside. So if I take this m omega square r by n into cos alpha as common in both the terms, then I will be left with cos of 2 alpha plus theta in first term, and in second term I will be left with cos of 2 times alpha minus theta. So by making use of the trigonometry, I can write cos of 2 alpha plus theta plus cos of 2 alpha minus theta as 2 times cos 2 alpha into cos 2 theta. Now by rearranging the term, we will get the secondary forces along the vertical direction as 2 times m omega square r into cos alpha by n into cos 2 alpha into cos 2 theta, and this force will be acting in vertically upward direction. Now let us try to calculate the horizontal component of these secondary forces. So in order to calculate the horizontal component of these secondary forces, I need to resolve the force Fs2 and Fs1 along the horizontal direction. these two forces with respect to vertical, they are inclined at an angle alpha. So Fs1 along the horizontal direction will be equals to Fs1 into sine times alpha. Similarly, the component of Fs2 along the horizontal direction will be equals to Fs2 into sine alpha. So these two forces, they are acting in opposite direction. So what I will do is, so the horizontal force that is acting towards the left, I will be taking it as positive, and the horizontal force that is acting towards the horizontal right direction, I will consider it as negative. So the total secondary force that is acting along the horizontal direction will be equals to Fs1 sine alpha minus Fs2 sine alpha. So in place of Fs1, I can write m omega square r into cos of 2 times alpha plus theta by n. So after that we are having sine alpha minus, in place of Fs2 we can write m omega square r into cos of 2 times alpha minus theta divided by n into sine alpha. So in this two term we can see that we are having m omega square r divided by n into sine alpha as common. So we can take this as a common in these two terms. So m omega square r divided by n into sine alpha. So when I take these two, this as a common, in first term I will be left with cos of 2 alpha plus theta, and in second term I will be left with cos of 2 times alpha minus theta. So using the trigonometric formulas, I can write cos of 2 times alpha plus theta minus cos of 2 times alpha minus theta as 2 times sine 2 alpha into sine 2 theta. By rearranging the term, I will get Fsh will be equals to 2 times m omega square r by n sine alpha into sine 2 alpha into sine 2 theta. Now in order to get the total secondary force, I can make use of the Pythagoras theorem, and it will be Fs, it will be equals to the square root of Fh square plus Fsv whole square. So this is how we can find the unbalanced primary forces and unbalanced secondary forces that are acting in case of a V engine. After finding the unbalanced primary and secondary force in case of a V engine, now let us try to solve one problem on a V engine, which is a radial engine. So the problem given is like this: we are having a 90-degree V engine which has 2 cylinders which are placed symmetrically. The length of the connecting rod are 400 millimeter each, and the crank is 100 millimeter. The reciprocating masses per cylinder is 4.8 kg full stop. If the engine speed is 1200 rpm, then find the resultant primary, secondary and the maximum secondary forces. So by reading the problem, first let us try to write down the data. So the data given is, we are having a 90-degree V engine. So the meaning of 90-degree V engine is the line of stroke of the two engines, they are making an angle of 90 degrees. But while finding the unbalanced forces in case of the V engine, we have taken that the line of stroke of each cylinder, they are making an angle alpha with respect to the vertical. So the total angle will be equals to 2 alpha, and they have given the value of 2 alpha as 90 degrees. So 2 alpha equals 90 degrees. So when 2 alpha will be equal to 90 degree, then alpha will be equals to 45 degrees. Then they have given that the length of the connecting rod is 400 millimeter and the radius of the crank is 100. So in general, we are denoting the length of the connecting rod by L and its value is 400 millimeters. So if I convert this into meters, it will be 0.4 meters. Similarly, the length of the crank given is 100 millimeters. So the length of the crank, we are denoting it by R. So R will be equals to 100 millimeters. So if I want this in terms of meter, it will be equals to 0.1 meters. Then they have given the reciprocating mass per cylinder is 4.8 kg. So while doing the derivation, we have designated the reciprocating masses per cylinder by M. So the value of M will be equals to 4.8 kg and the engine speed is given. So the engine speed is 1200 rpm. So since the speed is given in rpm, we can denote it by capital N, but we need the speed in terms of radians per second. So to convert the speed which is in rpm to radians per second, we can make use of the equation 2 pi n by 60. So 2 pi in place of n, if I substitute 1200 and if I divide it by 60, I will get the value of omega as 125.66 radians per second. Next, we need the value of n. So n represents the ratio of the length of the connecting rod to that of the crank. So the value of L by R. So L will be equals to 400 and R equals 100. So 400 divided by 100, it will be equals to 4. So by reading the problem, we get the following data. So once I get the data, next I am going to find what are the parameters which are required. So first I need the resultant primary force. So to find the resultant primary force, first we need to write what is the primary force vertical component and what is the horizontal component of the primary force. So by the last derivation, we come to know that the vertical component of the primary force can be calculated by using the equation 2m omega square r into cos square alpha into cos theta. Similarly, the horizontal component of the primary force, it can be found by using the equation m omega square r into sin square alpha into sin theta. So if you know the value of the vertical component and the horizontal component of the primary forces, then we can calculate the resultant primary force by using the formula Fp will be equals to square root of Fpv square plus Fph square. So in place of Fpv, I am going to substitute 2m omega square r into cos square alpha into cos theta, and in place of Fph, I am going to substitute m omega square r into sin square alpha into sin theta. So if you observe these two terms having 2m omega square r as common. So I have taken 2m omega square as common. So when I take this as a common, in first term I will be left with square root of cos square alpha into cos theta whole square, and in second term I will be left with sin square alpha into sin theta whole square. Now we know the value of alpha, it is 45. Now I am going to substitute in place of alpha as 45. So cos square 45 into cos theta whole square plus sin square, in place of alpha I have substituted as 45 into sin theta whole square. We know that the value of cos 45 is 1 by root 2. So in place of cos 145, I am going to write 1 by root 2, and if I take the square on both sides, then cos square 45 will be equals to 1 by 2. So in place of cos square 45, I have written 1 by 2. So in first term, I am having cos theta divided by 2 plus sin theta divided by 2, because the value of sin 45 is also 1 by root 2 and the value of sin square 45 will be equals to 1 by 2. So if you observe these two terms, we are having 1 by 2 whole square as common. So, I am going to take 1 by 2 outside. So, when I take 1 by 2 outside, this 2 and this 2 is going to cancel out, and in bracket I will be left with cos square theta plus sin square theta, and outside I will be having only m omega square r. And we know that the value of cos square theta plus sin square theta is 1. So, if you simplify this, you will be left with only m omega square into r, where m represents the mass of the reciprocating masses in each cylinder, omega represents the engine speed, and r represents the length of the crank in terms of meters. So, in the problem they have given the value of m as 4.8 kgs and the omega it is given as 125.66 whole square into the radius is 100. When I convert the radius into meters, so it will be 0.1. So, this will be, when you simplify this or if you solve this equation, you will get the value of Fp as 79.4 Newton. So, this is the total resultant primary force that will be acting on a given 90-degree V engine. Now, once you calculate the value of the primary forces, now we are trying to calculate the value of the resultant secondary forces. So, in order to calculate the value of the secondary forces, we already know that the vertical component of the secondary force, it can be calculated by using the equation 2m omega square r cos alpha divided by n into cos 2 alpha into cos 2 theta. Similarly, the horizontal component of the secondary force, it can be calculated by using the equation 2m omega square r sin alpha divided by n into sin 2 alpha into sin 2 theta. And the resultant secondary force, it can be calculated by using the equation square root of FSV square plus FSH square. So, I am going to substitute in place of FSV the equation 1, and in place of FSH I am going to substitute this equation 2, and if I take 2m omega square r common in both the terms, then I will get this equation. So, I have taken 2m omega square r by n outside. So, if I take this as a common, in first term I will be left with only cos alpha into cos 2 alpha into cos 2 theta, and in second term I will be left with sin alpha into sin 2 alpha into sin 2 theta. Now, substitute the value of alpha. So, outside the bracket I am having 2m omega square r by n, I will keep it as it is. So, inside the bracket in place of alpha I am going to substitute 45. So, cos 45, and here we are having 2 alpha associated with cos. So, if alpha is 45, then 2 alpha will be 90. So, this will be cos 90 into cos 2 theta whole square plus sin, in place of alpha I am going to write 45, and in place of 2 alpha I am going to write 90. So, sin 45 into sin 90 into sin 2 theta whole square. So, the value of cos 45 is 1 by root 2 and the value of cos 90 is 0, and I am keeping cos 2 theta as it is, and then in place of 1 sin 90 and the value of sin 45, it is 1 by root 2, the value of sin 90 is 1, and the value of sin 2 theta I am keeping as it is. So, by substituting the value of cos 45, cos 90, sin 45 and sin 90, and by simplifying this we get 2m omega square r by n, and in bracket we will be left with only sin 2 theta divided by root 2 square. So, this square and square root they are going to cancel out, and I will be left with 2m omega square r by n into sin 2 theta divided by root 2. Now, substitute the value of m. So, the value of m given is 4.8, and the value of omega it is 125.66, and in place of r, which is the radius of crank, we have substituted 0.1, divided by n. So the value of n is 4 and root 2 into sine of 2 theta. Simplify this, we will be getting it as 2679.72 and we are keeping sine 2 theta as it is. So the resultant secondary force Fs, it will be 2679.72 into sine 2 theta. So here the value of Fs, it depends upon theta. At last we need to determine what is the maximum secondary force. Since Fs is depending upon sine, we know that sine 0 will be equal to 0 and sine 90 it will be equal to 1, and in place of sine 45 we will be having 1 by root 2. So the sine, it will be always varying between 0 and 1. So the sine will have the maximum value when the value of theta is, when the value of 2 theta will be 90. So if 2 theta should be 90, then the value of theta should be 45. So in this equation, if I put theta as 45, then sine 90 will be equal to 1. Therefore the maximum secondary force, it will be equals to 2679.72 into sine 90, which is 1. So the value of Fs max will be equals to 2679.72 newtons.